All right, so I'm going to start with something very strange. And it came from somebody on TikTok. And this is what he asked me. I think it was Khalid or somebody. Which tree does money grow on? And I actually have an answer for you on this. And it's nothing technical that, paper comes from trees or anything like that. I was actually watching a message. It was from a guy from the Bahamas, Miles Monroe. And he was teaching on how when God put Adam and Eve in the garden, the trees were there, but he didn't give them furniture. So Adam had to use his creativity to go and chop down the tree and get whatever products he needed from the tree. So which tree does money grow on? It grows on any tree because all the opportunities are there. You just need to apply your creativity and add value and exchange that value to somebody who needs that product or service. But let's go on to the real questions on retirement planning. The first one, is it better to invest in property rather than a retirement plan? So there's no easy answer to this. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer to this one. But there's a lot of things you have to consider. Firstly, with any investment, you have to know the level of risk. You got to know the underlying cost. You got to know the impact of tax, the impact of inflation. You got to take all of those things into consideration. When it comes to holding physical property, maintenance cost, rates, levies, rental income, know that rental income will be added to your gross income at retirement, which will be taxed. Also know the estate planning implications of holding property on your personal capacity, the taxes involved there, the fees involved there. So you got to plan for all of this. So it's not for me to talk you out of not investing in property in terms of rental income, but for you to plan according to all of the things, and it's an enormous lot of things that you got to plan for to ensure that you're getting some decent rental income with rental property. Another option, if you don't want the headache of tenants, you don't want to be paying levies, you don't want to be paying rates and all of these taxes, you just want to be collecting rent, a nice option in South Africa is REITs, real estate investment trusts. And in South Africa, a REIT must pay 75% of their earnings, which is very sweet. So REIT distribution in South Africa is 75%. And if you're very savvy, you can put this in a tax-free wrapper and not pay any taxes on them, which is quite nice. So obviously it takes planning. You got to understand how REITs work. It's registered on the JSE, listed on the JSE, traded like a unit trust, and apply a tax wrapper to that, and yeah, it can work out for you very nicely. That being said, at Retirement Bootcamp this year, we're going to talk about these kind of strategies, how you can work these kind of strategies into how you can use property from a strategic tax purpose to retire sweetly, get a nice big lump sum, get some nice cash flow, and also to reduce your tax liability. So these kind of strategies, obviously a lot more higher grade strategies than that we will be talking about at Retirement Bootcamp. Tickets, early bird tickets will end on the 30th, and then we're going up to regular price tickets. So if you want to join us on the 19th in Sandton, you should go get those tickets soon. So the next one, how do you know how much do you need for retirement? Okay, so for me as a financial advisor, how I assess or try and gauge how much a client will need is, when we look at the client's age, okay, how much time the client has to prepare, how much can she put away, what kind of risk is she willing to take when it comes to her retirement needs, how much money does she need for retirement, will she still be carrying debt during retirement? So we look at how much in rands as of the time of planning, and we future project those rands as well, and we try and get the future value of how much the client needs at retirement. Then we start making some assumptions. Assumptions, for example, inflation rate. Now, nobody knows what the market is going to be in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 30 years when the client retires. So we have to make assumptions. So we'll make an assumption of a 7%. It's a very aggressive 7%, but remember the market is there and there and there and there, and we're just working on that average of there, 7%. Then we'll make another assumption on the returns, on the investment returns that we can get on this paper asset or the combination of paper assets that we're using. And let's say, for example, a very positive 10%, because again, the markets are not like this 10%. It's 5%, and then it's 13%, and then it's 8%, and then it'll be 12%, then it'll be 11%, then it'll be 3%. But we just going with that average of 10%. And we'll put those numbers into the software, or if you savvy on Excel, you do it on Excel, and you get your number. And that's how we'll start planning, and we reverse engineer. If we spend 10 years in investment and we try and project what our lump sum is going to be. So this is a very important exercise, especially if you know that you're not all of your retirement income is not going to come from paper assets. It's going to come from things like gold. It's going to come from things like retirement income. It's an exercise that you should be doing with your financial advisor every year, and you'll sit and project, okay, 12 months has went by, we've added another 100,000 to your retirement savings pot. How does this impact you at retirement in terms of your lump sum? So it's important to sit with your advisor once a year and do those kind of calculations. Yeah, another thing that we'll do is we'll consolidate all of your retirement portfolio. And sometimes, we don't have all the information from clients, and we're kind of working blind. So it's important when you sit with your advisor, you provide all the information. What your current value of your pension is, how many percent are you contributing, because all of that information we need, and we need to make those assumptions based on whatever your current contributions are. Next question. I'm a bit confused. I was told that a 1/3 initial withdrawal of pension is taxed. Please clarify if you can. So when it comes to retirement products that look after pension, provident, and retirement annuity, there are two tax tables. One is the withdrawal table. So if you exit a retirement product without retiring and you're withdrawing for whatever reason, there's a table that there's a tax table for that, and there's a tax table for retiring from a retirement product. Obviously, the retirement table is a little bit lower because they want you to follow the natural path of retirement at that elected age. So when you make a withdrawal from your retirement prematurely, you use that withdrawal table, and the tax that applies to that is the first 25,000 Rand is tax-free. Okay, thereafter, the balance is taxed on a sliding scale. So that is why we always encourage folks to always be preserving their money. And I know sometimes life happens and you need these funds, but you are taking the risk of some heavy taxation should you wish to withdraw prematurely. I also put out a YouTube video this week on the proposed two-pot system. It's a very in-depth video. We explain how the thinking behind it, the pros and cons, the advantages and disadvantages of the system, and what your way forward should be if or when the system is implemented. So go check that out. That video is available. All right. So eventually, when you do retire at age 55, you exit on that retirement tax table. So the retirement tax table, like I said, it's always sweeter for taxes. And on that table, the first 500,000 is tax-free, and everything above that is taxed at a sliding scale. Or at age 55, when you do retire, or any age above age 55, when you do retire, you are able to take out 1/3 tax-free. As of today, the two-pot system is not in place yet. And the 2/3, you're going to have to buy a living annuity or a life annuity. And so those withdrawals will be taxed. That 2/3 lump sum goes to another investment, and when you get that income again, you're taxed. It's horrid, I know, and a lot of times we don't take the implications of tax and inflation into consideration, and we need to start doing that because it's making a big impact on our spending power at retirement. And if you sit with people during retirement, they will tell you their struggles of their conservative investments. And learn from them. I mean, speak to people that are retired and see where they went wrong in their ways and how you can improve with your retirement planning. I resigned from work. How do I transfer my pension from my old company to the new company? Well, it's not a hard thing to do. It's just a very legislative process, very regulated. It's a Section 14 transfer. And if you want to transfer from your old company to a new company, it's just a matter of, on your capacity, is paperwork that the HR needs to facilitate. So you fill in the form and HR needs to do all of the work on that. And like I said, it's a very documentation heavy process. But that being said, there are other options. You don't have to transfer to your new company. And let me tell you why you shouldn't, is because you can transfer out into a pure asset manager as opposed to your new company. So usually when it comes to companies, especially small companies, a lot of small, medium-sized companies in South Africa, they have these umbrella funds. And these umbrella funds usually contain these vanilla funds that a 20-year-old must use and a 60-year-old must use. It's a very generic vanilla fund. Money just goes in there and with the hope of growing. Whereas if you're going to transfer out, you're exiting the company, you're wise enough to preserve this money, rather your options are to, one, go into either a pension or a provident preserver, depending on the product you had at work, or go into a retirement annuity. One of the benefits of doing that is you have complete control over what you invest in. If you want a bit of the S&P, you can have a bit of the S&P. If you want a bit of government bonds, you can have a bit of government bonds. Once it's on your personal capacity, you have full control of your money. You don't have control to take it out, but you can control how you invest. And that's a very powerful thing to have, because obviously the longer you stay invested and the more exposure you have to offshore and aggressive funds, the more likely you're going to see a return over a long period of time. So if you are ever in a position where you're leaving work and you have the option to transfer out, rather transfer it out on your personal capacity. Work with your financial advisor. Transfer on an asset manager, please. Okay, the fees are a lot lower, and you have a broader selection of funds that you can invest in, and you also have the option of taking advantage of the new regulation 28, where you can maximize your offshore up to 45%, which is very nice. Particularly if you're younger, you can take more risk with your retirement money in order to get a bigger return. I want to tell you very quickly before I sign out that although we spoke about retirement products here, we talked about the preservers, retirement annuities, you also have your regular pension and things like that. Know that those are retirement products. Okay, those are not retirement solutions. So if you are thinking in your head, you know what, I don't need to plan for retirement, I got a work pension or I'm contributing to RA, that's enough. And I'm here to tell you that that is not enough, because retirement products are not retirement solutions. They only become solutions when you apply strategy to it. Okay, and that involves a little bit of critical thinking, and that's what I want to share with you on the 19th of November in Sandton. So I hope to see you there. Grab your tickets and we'll talk more about some really nice strategies that I'm sure a lot of you have not heard, and it's very fitting in a South African context. We're looking at South African inflation, South African taxation, and how you can utilize these strategies. Planning early is key. So the earlier you plan it, the sweeter you can retire, and even the earlier you can retire. You don't have to wait for 55. If you're diligent enough and disciplined enough and strategic enough, you don't have to wait to age 55 to retire. All right, so if there's no more questions, we're going to sign off there, and yeah, we'll do another one soon. Have a good evening.